It's disturbing. An ex-cop now charged with tipping off her gangbanger boyfriend. Details here are pretty tough. Crooked NYPD officer Gina Mestre has been charged for tipping off her gangbanger boyfriend Andrew Caballo Dunn and his gang, the shooting boys, to confidential police information, including a manhunt and witness details. Given the details of her history, this outcome becomes less surprising. It begs the question of how she was still on the force until last year when she left. So let's talk a little bit about that. Mestre of Mohegan Lake in Westchester County joined New York's finest in 2013. She was assigned to the public safety unit at the 52nd precinct in the Bronx. According to public records, she had a checkered career on the job, nearly 36 complaints, most for alleged abuse of authority filed against her. 5 of them sustained. The New York Post with the outline of her history. Mestre has also been named in at least 12 lawsuits that have thus far resulted in $765,000 in settlements. According to the records, by 2019, the alleged crooked cop was associating with Dunn and the shooting boys, even as the crew peddled fentanyl, crack, other drugs, and pulled off armed robberies and attacked rivals, the indictment claimed. The gang had been terrorizing the University Heights neighborhood since at least 2017. Serve and protect. Then comes the murder. Knowing her boyfriend ended a life, Mestre continued to tip him off to information that would help him evade justice. November 5th, 2020, Dunn shot and killed a rival gangbanger on Cromwell Avenue in the Bronx. Cops retrieved surveillance video of the shooting and launched a manhunt, with Mestre being one of the officers on the case, according to the indictment. She allegedly sent Dunn the surveillance video, gave him details about the efforts to catch him. Talk about being on the other side of this thing. Undercover agent. Gina Mestre shamelessly exploited her position of public trust to assist gang members in her own NYPD precinct that were terrorizing the Bronx by committing robbery, murders, drug trafficking, and other acts of violence. That's from the US Attorney Damian Williams. She is charged with racketeering, conspiracy to obstruct justice, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, an accessory after the fact to murder in aid of racketeering. Top charge carries a maximum federal prison sentence of 30 years. Long before she allegedly took on a gang violent boyfriend, Mayor, she had all these other complaints. The public said, hey, this is happening. And you know how difficult it is for police, an entity, to be held accountable for this conduct. 5 of them, sustained $750,000 in payments. She was part of that, Mayor. Who's to blame other than this crooked cop?
Yeah, listen, I think, first of all, what we're seeing is one thing, and this is how people use this as, oh, this is one bad apple. This is not one bad apple. There were 30 plus complaints, and 5 of them substantiated. More, we know that don't mean that the other ones are not. Really just couldn't be substantiated. Maybe people stopped trying or gave up on it. And who else knows what happens and how that happens when you're dating a gang member and what he said to them and your willingness to share information with them. I think we are witnessing a point that can no longer be ignored when it comes to policing in this country. We are seeing time after time. This week alone, there's been 4 or 5 stories about crooked police officers willing to behave in this manner. And it's not just the ones that are being overtly criminal. It's the silence of the other because of that blue line you do not cross, you dare not break. And I think, and until we are really ready to deal with the idea that the way we police in this country is broken, it's systemically broken, not just because of how these individuals act, but because of the quiet ones that allow them to continue to police other people. 5 things that cost the state or the city or the county almost $1 million plus her salary, plus her benefits is unbelievable to me. And the fact that she got to continue to investigate her own boyfriend speaks to the ridiculousness that which we call successful policing in this country.
Yeah, you don't know who's working for you, who's supposed to serve and protect. It strikes me that during those occasions where CIA or FBI agent is caught spying, treason, whatever the charge is, and there's some kind of inkling at some point, there's checks and balances along the way too, where you're subjected to over and over again, periodically, some surprise checks to make sure you're working for the right team here to uphold justice instead of your self-interest, your boyfriend's self-interest. It is so disgusting that this person, and like you said, we don't even know if there were more complaints that people didn't feel comfortable even putting in, okay? And would you, with this kind of accused perp running around outing you? The other thing I thought of, Mayor, because the news in me has all these other stories in my head, but do you recall New Orleans years and years ago where they were working, members of the police force, with perpetrators and killers, and you'd go in as a witness, say, I did see this murder take place, and the next thing you know, you're dead. It reminds me of this kind of deception, and I think there has to be not just an investigation of this ex-cop, but we got to see what else is going on here and how widespread it is, Mayor.
Yeah, I mean, we have the groundwork to show that, like exactly like you said, not just New Orleans, but we see the Goon Squad in Mississippi this week just came out about what they did to Black people, how they terrorized them, and did all other types of horrible crimes, including molestation. We know about the LA County Sheriff Department that had its own gang inside of the police department that terrorized people. So we really do need to be policing the police in a way that does not allow cops to do it, but individuals, civilians, to manage and oversee this process, because what's currently happening is not currently working.